From WFRV TV, Local 5, serving Northeast Wisconsin, including Green Bay, Fox Cities, and the Lakeshore. This is Newsmaker Sunday.
Good morning and thank you for joining us for Newsmaker Sunday. I'm Tom Zalaski. We are continuing to talk about organizations that are helping folks get food on the table. And in the Fox Valley, St. Joseph's Food Program in Menasha has been providing food for the hungry for decades now. And joining us this morning is Monica Clare, St. Joseph's Executive Director. Monica, good to have you back again.
Great to be here, Tom.
Thanks
you
so
for
much.
having me.
Before we get into the nuts and bolts of the good work that you're doing, let's get into the nuts and bolts of Monica Clare. How did you get to the point where you are today as Executive Director?
Well, that's very interesting because not 42 years, that's when we started. Back in 2001, Dorothy Johnson, who was the president of the board at the time, and I knew her personally, and they had a finance director who was leaving the organization, and they were looking for somebody, and she called me up and said, I'd really like you to come apply, because she knew me and they wanted somebody that they could trust with the funds and all of that. So I went over and I had no idea what St. Joe's was. I knew there was a pantry in Menasha, and that's about as far as it went. Yep. And boy, have I learned a lot since then.
Boy, this has to be a labor of love for you, because I got to believe it's not the pay or the perks that attracted you to this.
Well, you know, honestly, when I got started, I had not anticipated working for a nonprofit. Yeah. And but it has been a labor of love. Every year we are doing things that we try to improve our services and make them better, and really think about the folks that we're serving and the organizations that we're serving. And I just have great volunteers and great staff who, for all of them, it's a mission.
And at St. Joseph, you are doing a whole lot more than just handing out food to people. What is the mission of St. Joseph's Food Program?
Sure. Our mission is supplementing nutritional needs free of charge for those who are economically distressed. But it has gone so much further than that over the last 15, 20 years. We started out as primarily a pantry where people would come and get a weekly food allotment. And we still do that, and that's our primary focus, is our pantry clients. However, we've expanded so much beyond that. We now are serving about 40 other organizations in the Fox Valley, providing food free of charge to them so that they can focus their funds on their core missions. We are serving about 1,300 students with weekend food supplies. And we also have programs that help our folks. We have a program that's relatively new, Food Pharmacy, where we focus on people's special dietary needs. So for those with pre-diabetes, diabetes, heart health issues, or celiac disease, we have special food packages for those folks. We also started delivery during COVID. So we've really expanded on the services that we started with and are doing all kinds of different things now.
You mentioned 42 years ago. How did this whole thing start?
So Tom Schiltz, our founder, had been at Bible study in the morning, and he hopped in his car to go to Green Bay for a meeting for his business. And he had been learning that morning about feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, etc. And as he was driving up to Green Bay, he heard on the radio that one of our local companies was laying off 400 people. And I did a little research, and 1982 was a time in the Fox Valley when economics were not that good. And so his first thought was, golly, here's all these people who now might need help. And at the same time, he was looking out in this field of food that looked like it wasn't being harvested. It was kind of getting wilty or whatever in the hot sun. And so when he got back to Appleton, he went to St. Joe's Parish, where he was a member at the time, and said, you know, what can we do about this? And so he garnered support. He took 5 months off his business and started talking to people. And he talked to farmers, he talked to grocery stores, he went to churches, he talked to other people that he knew, and garnered support to start the pantry. And so that's how it got started. Just one man's idea. Yeah. And you know, I like to tell that story, especially to high school students, because your little idea that you have might turn into something huge. And St. Joe's has fed tens of thousands of people over the 42 years millions and millions of pounds of food.
We are talking St. Joseph's Food Pantry, and we are back with Monica Claire. Much more right after this. Please stay with us. And welcome back to Newsmaker Sunday. Our guest this morning, Monica Claire, the Executive Director of St. Joseph's Food Program in Menasha. How many, Monica, do you serve, maybe on a monthly basis, yearly basis?
Well, I haven't looked up numbers for last year totally yet. I believe we had over 30,000 visits, but we are currently serving about 750 families on a weekly basis.
Now, on your website, I want to hit upon a few things that you have here. You've got something called the Champion of Nutrition program. What's that about?
Right, and we're reconfiguring that a little bit because COVID changed everything.
Yeah.
So, but right now, what we do is every other month, 6 times a year, we do a meal package, which is our Champ meal. And so that's a recipe and all the ingredients for a specific meal that's nutritious, that people can learn how to cook. When we serve people, a lot of times they'll say, well, I don't want to take that because I don't know how to use it. And so this is a way to help them learn how to cook those ingredients that they would get at the pantry that are inexpensive, that they can then reuse again and make with their families together.
Now, is that the Champ meal kit, or is that something separate?
That's the Champ meal kit.
Okay.
Above and beyond that, we have a video on the website that shows how to put that together. We also are hoping that we can get back into doing some nutrition classes this year. So we used to be able to do some of those classes, and of course with COVID those things changed, but we're hoping to rebuild that program back up again.
So this is the classic give a man a fish, teach a man to fish.
Exactly.
And you're doing the teaching.
Exactly.
What is Camp Champ?
That's part of the new part. And I can't tell you much about that right now.
It's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Something you just mentioned, and this is fascinating, your food pharmacy, and it's spelled F-A-R-M-A-C-Y, food pharmacy.
Right.
I take it it's medicine involved with
Right,
your
food as medicine.
Yeah.
So we know that really that old saying that you are what you eat is really true. And so for a lot of folks, they don't understand what foods are good for them, what foods are not good for them. Yeah. And so a lot of folks either are in a situation where they need to take action to improve their health, or they just want to be proactive. You don't have to have a doctor's note. What we do is make up a special package that will have, for instance, low sodium, no sugar, whole grain rice and pasta, those kinds of things that will be better than the standard foods that we tend to eat.
Yeah. And you've got the garden program.
Yes.
Grow a row for St. Joe's. How does that work?
So anybody can participate in Grow a Row for St. Joe. Last year, as a matter of fact, the last couple of years, we've brought in over 55,000 pounds of fresh produce. So we have a commitment to our clients that they will always receive fresh produce from us. And so what we've tried to do is get the community involved in helping us with that by growing a row. So if you have a garden, you can designate one row, or you can just bring in what everybody knows that when they grow a garden, they get either too much zucchini or too many tomatoes or whatever the year is producing that year. And so we will take that fresh produce because we have capacity, we have coolers to keep it in. And so, as part of those 7 fresh fruits and vegetables that we promise our clients every week, we're getting help from the community. So we have a garden right out on the back of our property that one of the local churches gardens for us. And it's a beautiful garden. The Timber Rattler Stadium has a garden for us. Griffles Biomet has a garden for us. And so a lot of people in the community are taking it upon themselves to grow a row for St. Joe, and it really helps because we pay a lot for fresh produce.
I want to talk about kids. We know a lot of kids in our area, they go hungry. They get meals at school.
Right.
Breakfast, lunch, that's 5 days a week.
Right.
But then there's the weekend, and kids, as I understand, have to eat on the weekend.
Sure.
And you're filling that void.
Sure, yep. Every week we have volunteers who come in and they pack about 1,300 bags.
1,300?
1,300. We are in about 9 school districts, 60 schools. The schools contact us and they say we need X number of bags. We don't know who those students are, but they recognize them as food insecure. And there was a story once about a little kindergarten boy who was new in his district, and he came in and he was doing things like throwing chairs and things like this. And after talking to this little boy, they realized that he wasn't getting food and he was hungry. Oh. And so by providing that weekly meal package and also some food during the week, he calmed down. It wasn't behavior issues, it was just, you know, frustration. And what kid can, I can't concentrate at work if my tummy's grumbling, right? How can you concentrate in school if you're hungry? And so we're hoping to be able to get kids through the weekend so that when they come to school on Monday, they're ready to learn.
Our guest this morning, Monica Clare with St. Joseph's Food Program, and we have more to come after this. Stay right there. And welcome back to Newsmaker Sunday. We're talking about St. Joseph's Food Pantry. Our guest, Monica Clare, the organization's executive director. Monica, what's the food distribution process program like? If I come to you, how do I get the food?
Sure. So everyone at St. Joe's is income qualified. Okay. So we will help anybody. We're not a Catholic organization specifically, which sometimes gets confusing for people with our name. But we will serve anyone who meets those income qualifications and who's in you know, the service area that we serve. So they come in and they have an interview, bring some documentation of how many family members and things like that, and then they can pick up food once a week. So since COVID, our system has been a drive-up system. So they can do that a number of ways. So we have the regular drive-up service where people come in whatever time works for them, Monday through Thursday. We have different hours, and then they wait in the line, come to the window, and the food is distributed. Their card is scanned, and the record pops up, so we know if they have a birthday that week, they'll get a birthday cake. If they have kids who qualify for diapers, they'll get diapers. If they're on food pharmacy, they know, the distributors at the windows know all those things, how many people are in the household, etc. The other way that they can do it is we have an online link that they can go to, and they can sign up for a specified time to pick up their food. And then they can pick from the list of foods that are being distributed that week which ones they want or don't want. So that's really nice for people who may not want everything that's being distributed and who want to come at a specified time without waiting. The last one is delivery, which we started during COVID too, and that's for people who are homebound only. So we have volunteers who come and pick up food every week and then take it to those who are homebound.
And you're also giving food and food products to other area nonprofits. Yes. I mean, I would think an organization like yours is constantly screaming, we don't have enough for ourselves, we don't have enough, and yet you're giving food.
We've been so blessed, and honestly, you know, because of the generosity of the community, we've been able to expand on how many organizations we've been able to help. And generally, they're you know, shelters, domestic abuse shelters, homeless shelters. We have a group, grandparents who are raising their grandchildren who sometimes get food from us. We have a veterans organization who gets food from us. So a lot of different organizations in the Fox Valley who come to us each week and get food. So
what's the benefit for you? Is it just the feel good?
You know what? It really is. There's no hitch. There's no hook. It's just we want to be giving the food to people who are in need, and because the community's been so generous to us, we can be generous to other organizations as well. And like I said, that helps them be able to focus their funds on their core missions rather than having to worry about whether they have food for the people coming to the shelter or whatever.
Monica, we know people are prideful, especially men, and there are guys out there who need to feed their families. They can't feed their families, but they'll be darned if they're going to take any kind of a handout. What do you say to a person like that?
We say, you know what? Everybody has trouble at some point in their life. Almost everybody, I think. And that's why we're there. We're there to help you when you've gotten to a low point or a point where you just can't do it yourself. That's what we're there for, is to help. And a lot of times, the great thing about that is you get out of that and then you're giving back. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, if people need the help, we would encourage them to give us a call and come in and get the help they need. That's why we're there.
And you're not in the business of making lifelong customers.
No, not at all. Not at all. We hope that people will be able to come in, get back on their feet, be self-sustaining, and then, again, go back out and be, you know, productive members of society.
Yeah, just
absolutely
temporary help here.
Yep.
Yeah. Monica Claire is our guest, and we are back to wrap up in just a moment. Stay right there. We are back now on Newsmaker Sunday. We're talking St. Joseph's Food Program with their Executive Director, Monica Claire. You've got a construction project, a development project going on. What is it, and when do we see it?
We do. We are actually in the tail end of that, probably the last 6 weeks, we're hoping. What happened was, because everything changed in COVID and we changed our 38-year distribution model, our building wasn't being used the way it was meant to be used. So we had space that was wasted and not used productively. And so we came up with a plan to do some remodeling. So we are actually still in the same footprint that we've been in for 28 years, but we've reconstructed some things and made some of our space more usable. So we have one thing that we're super excited about is that we've created a drive-through donation entrance. Our building has never had a good place to come to make donations. So those folks who are growing a row for St. Joe or just bringing over some canned goods or egg cartons or whatever they might bring, will have a nice place to drive under, get out of the weather. Somebody will come out and help them unload. So we're excited about that. We have created new interview rooms for our interviewers, and they have everything that they need in there. They have a telephone in case they need the language line. They've got their printers and their computer and everything they need to do that intake process. We have a nice hydroponic space. So as part of Grow Row for St. Joe, we have 20 hydroponic grow units where we grow lettuce. And previously we had 8, so we're expanding to 20. So we should be able to grow about 400 pounds of lettuce a month that will be fresh and basically organic for our client families. So we've got a beautiful room to do that. And then we moved our staff offices kind of from the middle of the building to the front so that we could create more production space in the back. And so now we've expanded our ability to be able to pack those backpack bags and things like that in a good space. So that should be done hopefully we should be totally done by mid-March, and then we think in April we'll probably have an open house so people can come see the space. It's wonderful.
Yeah, you're planning some sort of a grand opening?
Yes, yes, it'll be wonderful.
It's got to be a big facility. You're housing a lot of food every week.
We have 20,000 square feet.
Wow.
Yeah. So, which I guess has grown a little bit with that hydroponic. The hydroponic space was a overhang outside, and we put in a foundation and walled it in. So it's the same footprint, but we do have that extra space there. So.
Oh, what do you have for staff? What do you have for volunteers?
We have 8 staff members. 2 are full-time and the others are part-time. And then I just saw the stats on volunteers for last year that worked was 300 and just over 300. We have about 30, probably 35 per shift with 5 shifts a week. And so wonderful, wonderful volunteers who come in and love to be there.
So how many hours of you volunteer are you putting in?
Our volunteers put in last year, I believe it was 23,000 hours of effort.
That many?
Yeah.
If I want to be a volunteer, do you have qualifications, background check? How does that work?
Sure, there's a process that you go to. If you can go to our website at stjoesfoodprogram.org, there's a volunteer application there. Then our volunteer coordinator gives you a call, and gives you a tour, tries to find the right fit for you. We do a small background check to make sure that everything's okay, and then you can get to work.
And then, of course, I imagine money is always good.
Absolutely. We can always use money, and we don't have to store it, so it's wonderful.
And what about people who just want to drop off stuff, food? Now, you're going to have this drive-through.
Yes. Yep, we've always accepted donated food, so a lot of people do food drives for us. A lot of times people just go to the grocery store and pick up a few extra items and they drop them off. And sometimes they think it's not much, but all of those little bits that aren't much add up to a lot. And it's very welcome and very appreciated.
Do you have stories of success where people have come in looking for help and you've seen them through that dark time and they come back?
Yes, absolutely. I've heard back from a few people. Most recently in the last year, a lady contacted me. She was going to school and she wanted to interview me, and she said, you know, I was a client. A number of years back, my husband and I were both out of work. We had 2 growing daughters. Now our daughters are both in college, and so she wanted to let me know what an impact everybody made.
As you said, labor of love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Monica Claire, St. Joe's, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Tom.
And if you have a newsmaker in your town who you think we should have on the program, let us know about it. Send us an email to tips@wearegreenbay.com, or you can message us on Facebook. And be sure to join us once again Sunday morning at 7:30. Until then, have a great day.